Good morning, everyone. On the occasion of World Suicide Prevention Day, which falls on 10 September, we, the Udgam School for Children, have taken an initiative to spread awareness about suicide prevention. With the increase in suicides in the world, it has been the need of the hour to talk about it. Around 8 lakh people commit suicide every year, giving a rate of 1 suicide per 40 seconds. Which tells us that for every one suicide, there has been 20 suicidal attempts. In India, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Karnataka have registered the highest rate for suicide. Hence, it has become important to know how we can prevent it and get aware about the suicide prevention. For this, today, we have a special guest who has more than 10 years of experience in psychiatric practice and has been actively involved in awareness campaigns on mental health. He is a psychiatrist who has specialized in de-addiction psychiatry from NIMHANS and has his own private consultancy. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Parth Vaishnav.
Thank you so much.
Along with him today on the panel, we have our Vice Principal of Primary Section, Ms. Arathi Kellogg, the Vice Principal of Counseling and Special Education, Ms Vidhi Bose, and our Udgam team of Counsellors. Doctor, it has been a pleasure for us to have you here today. And on that note, we would like to know about your views and experience on suicide prevention.
To start it off, let us first of all understand that why we are talking today. Because every hour 2 teens are committing suicides. So by the time we are going to end this talk, we'll be losing 2 people who are not even 18 from this planet. I think that the primary problem that people are still not understanding is suicide is the word associated with it is committed. Now usually we use the word commitment with either an ambition, a goal, a relationship. But here, while you are trying to associate a word like commit with suicide which brings upon abrupt death of an individual, we are simply trying to socialize a situation which needs more medical attention, which needs more mental health care attention to people nowadays. The whole idea of death to children is brought upon in a very simple way. If an elderly person or a sick or an ill person dies in the family, children are taught that the person was freed from pain, that the person may cease to have any sorts of negative emotions. A young child, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, understands the idea of death as an escape or an end of pain, and this is the first seed that is sown in their brain that if you feel extreme pain, there is an option, correct? The whole idea that suicide is a choice is how people project it. Why did he choose suicide? Why did they not choose life? See, we have to understand that nobody chooses to end their life. People are finding a solution to a pain they are suffering from, especially teenagers. And when they find that there is no solution to the pain that they have, there is no solution to the problems that they are facing, suddenly their cognition peeps in. Wait, my grandfather, my grandmother, someone in my family, they were suffering from pain, and my family said that their pain was ended by death. Death is also brought by suicide. So why not connect these 3 dots, and rather than taking it too forward, make it short. Pain is something that can be ended by suicide. Most of the children, when they are rescued, when they are treated after they have ended up into a situation like suicide, are not sure that did they go into a place where a life or a return was never possible, because they don't understand that death is a natural outcome of suicide and end of pain is not. See, we all keep on cribbing about the fact that children nowadays are very difficult to handle. And I laugh it off. Whose children? They are our children. So if they are difficult to manage, there is something wrong with the factory that produced them. You cannot always curse the product. It is the creators who also had some problem, and that is why this whole parenting parade is going on so fast in the country. Now, if you go to a library, more books are available on parenting than anything else. And suddenly when I become a parent, I am like, how many books I need to read? How many people I need to meet? How many skills I need to develop? And gradually I realize it is just a natural process. I never read a book how to breathe. I never read a book how to eat. I never read a book of how to live or survive. I think parenting are such survival skills, but now we live in a different era. Increasing suicides have also become a problem because suicides are associated with multifactorial things. First of all, let us acknowledge the fact that suicides are a problematic maladaptive behavior patterns. You don't commit them, it happens to you. You don't commit cancer, you don't commit heart attack, you don't commit fever, you don't commit suicide. Suicide happens to you. You suffer from conditions which may lead you to situations that suicides would happen. There are multifactorial things. We live in a digital era. We are so lucky. See, I think most of us belong to transition generation. So we still used to have those phones where you had to dial numbers to we have Alexa or Google, call so and so, and the call is directly connected. We are lucky. We have seen both parts of the world. So we value the world a lot. But the teenagers, they have seen a fast-paced part of the world. They have seen a world in which things are available at the tip of their fingers. You click and goods are delivered in 15 minutes. You desire and you get the toy in 24 hours. And there is this competition going on among parents as well. Who is able to fulfill more wishes as compared to the other parent? And this is how children end up into a situation where there is not a problem of scanty. There is a problem of plenty. And now they have so many things that they are bored. And they are so bored that they do want to do something which is thrill, which is pleasure, which is fun. And so now they end up onto websites, they end up onto social media. Now see, I'm really reluctant to use social media among really young age groups. Because children, when they are young, every social media has an age group. There are age restrictions for children beyond 12 years of age, 15 years of age, 18 years of age. So now children who are really very young and not aware about the age groups end up onto accounts, onto pages, onto blogs, which they should not have been exposed to at such an early age. Now the problem with children, when she asked me that why is this suicide problem going on? Let's face it, that we have a biological system in the brain, and as humans we have evolved from apes. So this biological system in the brain takes a lot of time to develop. But the sad part, the pleasure seeking areas of the brain, the areas of the brain which incite emotions, anger, irritability, impulsivity, they develop way before the areas of the brain which incite decision making, problem solving, reasoning. The final outcome is children who are young, teenagers, adolescents, they act upon impulse. They are these pleasure seeking machines that if their chocolate is over, they want a toy. If the toy is done, they want a gadget. If the gadget is done, they want an update. And there are so many Pro Max Pluses available in the market right now that the moment you upgrade a gadget, the next upgrade is available the next day. And because the children, they are accustomed to this problem of plenty, upgradations constantly, and they are bored, they'll keep on pursuing their activities on such accounts. The decision making area did not develop. They pick up things which they should not have picked up. They pick up solutions to the problems which they think is right because the World Wide Web says that this is a solution, because Google says this is a solution. This is where children nowadays are going to ask about their problems, and that is not a failure of the technology or the system. That is our failure. When people or children don't come to ask their solutions and go to Google, they feel that that is going to be non-judgmental and we are going to be critical and judgmental. We'll come to that later. They have picked up so-called solutions to the problems. And there are viruses in the atmosphere which create illnesses. There are viruses on these softwares which give you misinformation. And now they start developing more impulsivity, more aggression, gaming, social media, online shopping, porn among children as young as 9 to 10 years of age. And it impacts their brains so much that innocence is lost at such a young age. Their aggression has increased at such a young age. Developmental issues, genetic issues. Children are born into families where there are histories of suicidal attempts, where there are histories of completed suicides in the past. Parents don't talk about it out of fear, shame and guilt. That if the society knows about this, see, the schools do inquire. There are counselors like you in the schools and I'm very happy for that. They do inquire a lot. But parents don't open up about this. That yes, there was an attempt by one of the family members. Yes, there is a completed suicide in the family, and that is why these children, not sidelined, but at least given a spotlight by the teachers, by the counselors, that the change in their behavior will have to be monitored more as compared to the other children. the genetic factors, the validation factors. They don't get validation on social media, they feel frustrated because they feel that the world does not like me. They don't put comments on the pictures I have put. They have to constantly go through various filters because they don't like themselves anymore. See, teenage is exactly the period when they develop self-image, self-esteem. And social media makes you feel, oh, this is not good. Why don't you use this filter? It will make you happier. It will make you look better. Now people, children, teenagers are forced to post content so that the world feels that, oh, that so guy or the girl is living such a happy life and I'm so miserable. So now everybody, in trying to put happier pictures, is getting more miserable because the happier they try to push themselves, the extents through which they push, the trends which they follow, the hashtags which they follow, the influencers which they follow, make them miserable day by day. The likes are increasing, but the lives are decreasing. That is a problem. Academic pressure, because nowadays we live in an era where the biggest business of the country, which is the Indian cricket team, is sponsored by an educational application, which is such an ironical thing. It was supposed to be the only region in the society which did not need corporatization, but that is the sector which has got biggest of the corporatization. Parents who are forced into professions, when they say passion versus profession for the generation X, people like me, people like you, when they use this word, people were forced into their professions by their parents. I remember only 3 branches when I was studying. I think that no other branch except medical, engineering and chartered accountancy ever existed. And people are forced into them. They end up into such professions. Now parents are working 24/7 to get admission in best of the schools, to get best of the tuition classes, to get best of the extracurricular activities. That child, which was still under the development phase, they have a schedule in front of them. 7 to 10 this, 10 to 12 this, 12 to 1 this, then 1 o'clock, half an hour of break, then you take your lunch, then you go to these classes, then this teacher will come to teach you. Come on, you need to give them time for boredom, because boredom itself incites creativity without minus the social media, because boredom with social media is a big monster. Boredom per se causes mind wandering and the child develops creative thinking. But now the children are always on the go and they are looking at exactly the next child. He or she is getting more marks, he or she is better in performance in certain activities, non-academic activities, speech, public speaking, and now they develop more inferiority complexes. More inferiority complexes, more emotional damage to that underdeveloped brain, where reasoning is not developed, where problem solving skills is not developed. So genetic load, developmental problem, academic pressure, per se peer pressure, and now the child ends up into a situation where they learn pain. And my parents are working 24/7. I cannot give them more pain. I don't say that every parent goes to their child and gives an example of how painful their lives are, because parents have changed. I've seen across a decade parents have changed a lot. But it's the children who are putting more pressure on themselves as well, because you're not talking that part. And if you don't talk about that part, these situations will increase, these problems will only multiply. Teenagers do not know solutions to their problems. Suicide is not a problem. Suicide is not a pathology. Not being able to solve their issues, not being able to solve what they are suffering from is a problem. That is where mental health is really deteriorated. So as we go on, I guess we'll also discuss more about mental health exactly and how it affects suicide or individuals or teens.
When you very rightly said that all these problems are happening at the root level and leading to probably the suicidal ideation or the condition wherein the child or an adolescent is put up and is left with no choice, again
Options.
maybe options, yes, and are probably at that point of time, at that impulse, doesn't know what to do and then gets into get caught into suicide. On the same thing, I would like to Arathi ma'am to say, because she's been dealing with a lot of young parents, children of young parents, children who are young, and the parents that she meets, the kind of parenting that is happening today, is they come up with all these things what you just mentioned, too much of TV and too much of gadget and too much of boredom, and then to reduce the boredom, the parents are coming up with a lot of new things. So I would like Aarti ma'am, if you can just share your views that the kind of parents that you're meeting today.
Yeah, like 2003 was the year when this day was established. And to establish this day, the purpose was to reduce the stigma that comes with, like you said, parents are not ready to talk about it because there is a very big stigma. Log kya kahenge? That's a very big situation.
That is correct.
Secondly, bringing awareness. Until unless we do not accept it, awareness is not possible. So the stigma itself, that is the first thing that we need to work on. Like I deal with young parents with the primary age of 6 to 10 years is what I handle. And now I see the parents being so worried about their children for no rhyme and reason. And I agree to what you said, you can't blame the product. So the first thing that I tell them, I don't blame the child. Where are we wrong? You as parents and we sitting here. It's us who needs to take care of the child. वो तो वही सीखेगा जो हम सिखा रहे हैं उसको. So where are we going wrong, right? So that is it. We need to work on ourselves first, and then automatically it is going to affect our child in a good manner. Secondly, you said there is plenty. I completely agree to it, and it's like a race amongst the parents and to be the good parent that they want to be. And they will ask us to, you please tell him to complete the work. You please ask him to eat vegetables. You please tell him to sit down and listen to me. That's because the race is of being a good parent. So these things as parents, we need to understand that we are actually the root cause of every issue that is coming with our child.
Right.
So I, like Vidhi said, I am with this group of parents which are young, and I can only talk about it to the parents in an open manner. And with the children, I'm supposed to be very sensitive and understand and be very careful with the words that I speak to my children, even when I'm advising them or guiding them. Like you said, it's very easy to put it in their mind, कि pain hai, then this is the solution. That is not we are here for. Pain sabko hai. That is what we need to say. How we fight it out, that is what we need to teach them. Everybody, like you said, not only bringing about ke sab khush khush hai, like you said, social media shows that only. And social media is presenting so many things, ke how to show yourself happy. How to be happy? Like, how to show yourself to be happy. So we are more focusing on being the acting part that we are doing rather than actually being ourselves. So that training we need to give to our children.
That is so true, and I feel that, madam, the age group that you are dealing with is the one that explores the most.
They understand
they understand a lot, and they are really open for things that stubborn teen brain has still not developed. And so they are way more emotional and understanding. Believe me, toddlers are way more emotionally warm as compared to teenagers. But the problem is that labeling is a lot in the society. So if a child is slow, they label them dhimo che. If a child is a bit less understanding in mathematics, dafod che. If the child is not able to cope up to certain things, tarathi nahi thai. So parents at times feel that challenging a small child is motivating the child. But the whole idea of motivation is itself a toxic positivity thing. You cannot push people for the rest of their lives so that they achieve things. Ultimately, something has to develop from within so that they are pulled towards a successful goal. And that is what we are not rearing our children to be. We simply want them to be perfect children of perfect parents. And I always feel that this is a unicorn situation. I have 2 kids, I have lots of toys which mimic a unicorn. And my child every time asks, Dad, you have shown us a tiger, a lion, a donkey, a horse. You have never shown us a unicorn. And I simply laughed off in a very sarcastic way that the moment, my dear son, I'll show you a perfect parent, the same day I will show you unicorn as well. He did not understand much, but he only said that, so am I not going to see either of them, Dad? And he's 4.5. And I laughed that off as well. That probably true, you're not going to see any of them. So I think perfect parenting is all about imperfections that you accept and acknowledge to improve, and not about doing the right things. It is the doing the wrong things and understanding that they were wrong and trying to correct them. This is perfect parenting, I guess.
And you just can't open a book and become a good parent.
True.
You can't do that. Like you said, In the shelves you will find maximum books on parenting. But we are all good human beings. That's what finally matters. And our parents were like uneducated, right? So we are all good human beings. So that instilling that good qualities and good values, you don't need to read a book for that. It's only trial and error most of the times. And we know what our parents wanted and expected out of us without them telling us anything, right? So, and nowadays we, as parents, they keep on telling the child what are their expectations from the child. And like you very rightly said, the child has his own pressure of pleasing the parent. So that is what is, he doesn't want to hurt the parent more. So that is the emotional breakdown, he feels ki, or nahi to my parent, I don't want to give it to my parent. So we do come across certain small little children who says I have not won the competition, but mummy aaj gussa ho jayegi, mummy bahut dukhi ho jayegi.
Yes.
So we tell them, no, she'll not be upset. You have already been on the stage, but the child knows exactly that the mother is going to be unhappy. So it becomes a little difficult when the child says this, I contact Vidhi and say, please talk to the child. So these things might sound a little, for chota bachcha aise bolta, but it does happen. We are facing it every day. We are facing that.
Madam, as a part of this, we really try to train parents that don't always celebrate success too much. Because the whole idea of throwing a party for first rank or the competition that they have won. Now, there are two aspects to this. The child who threw the party, who was the toast of the party, now either develops two of the scenarios. One, will this happen again with me or not?
Yes.
Second, they are done with it. They are satisfied. I did something, party, enjoyment, done. So they have no motivation, inspiration left within. This is one aspect of that party. The attendees of the party, when they attend the party, their parents are like, you could have thrown that party, but now he or she is, because they worked hard. So now we are focusing so much on the end result and not the process. Why? See, just going off track, why people fail losing their weight? Why people fail changing their habits? Because we all have been since childhood trained to just focus on the end result. People don't focus on the process. People hate studying every day because children are said, थोड़ा पढ़ लो तो खेलने जाने देंगे, थोड़ा पढ़ लो होमवर्क फिनिश कर दो तो दिवाली में बाहर घूमने जाएंगे, मतलब थोड़ा सफर कर लो तो फन आएगा. So they are taught since the beginning that this is the suffering part. Then someday will become a doctor, engineer. So go through this grind. So they are not enjoying their studies for the 21 years of their life. They are suffering every day, crying every day, waiting for a destination. And when they reach that destination, it is done.
It's done.
Nothing is there to do. So now they have no motivation, no inspiration, no enthusiasm. And then you say that I don't like this profession. So now I'll become a guitarist or I'll become a photographer. And then there are movies which project. Don't follow your career. Don't follow your teachers. Don't follow anything. Just do what comes from within. So now children come up to me and say, at 12 years of age, sir, I'm leaving school. Why? I'll become a YouTube streamer. I said, fine. Why? Oh, because so and so is a millionaire, is a billionaire becoming out of it. So they don't know that there are crores and billions of streamers, out of which billions have failed. 5-7 who have succeeded because they had this model of working. It was not simply playing. So I give an example. Virat Kohli does not go out there and enjoy every time he plays. It's a job he has to do. I'm a doctor. I don't go out there and enjoy my everyday. There are days I'm not happy myself. There are days I'm feeling glitched inside, caged inside. It's a job I have to properly do and enjoy the moment I'm out of my miseries. So people have to understand that even a mental health care worker, a counselor, a psychiatrist are not the happiest person on the planet. We have our share of problems. I as a parent have my share of problems. But I do acknowledge them that they are my children. So I did create problem for many people, so they are going to create problem for me as well. The genetics are always shared. So if this is understood, things become calmer, things become easier. Don't celebrate every success. Let the success sink in. Let them have an idea for their future life. And then if you want, I'm not against a celebration, but exultatory celebration, I think I'm against that. It gives complexes to both the parties at the end of it.
Exactly.
Puts pressure on the person who's already achieved. Like we had a competition today, and then I rightly said to a teacher, she said to ma'am, this child is always first, but today the child has got a third prize. So I said, children, we need to tell the parents that children need to learn to fail. It's very important in life to fail. otherwise you cannot have the pleasure of eating. And the child who got the third prize came up to me and told me, I have a Hindi recitation, I'll do first. So imagine the kind of pressure the child has in his own self. I thought I need to talk to the parent. See, it is not always necessary that the parent is putting the pressure. It can also be the child, a 7-year-old child having that pressure himself, because he's seen himself first right from senior KG. So today getting the third prize was not acceptable, and he came up to me and said, there is a Hindi recitation in the line, I'll come first. So I said, you have to try your best. The prize part comes on later on, but at least you are there, one amongst there. That is more important. So it is like teaching our children to fail is the first thing that we should do now. That is very, very important in this area where everybody is in a rat race. Everybody is in the rat race. Right?
On the same line, instant gratification. Okay, that point, and teaching children that it's okay to fail. In past also at Udgam we have tried having campaigns, wherein we've gotten all our principals and teachers into it, and told to public, told to parents, spread the word across that it's okay to fail. But somewhere deep inside there is still a lack of tolerance that we are not able to teach our children, that because of this instant gratification that the generation is coming up, the tolerance levels are going down, and any problem they don't know what to do, and they will either go into their lock themselves in the room, and or they will fight in a wrong way, they will get into some trouble. So there is no balance, or there is no probably they don't know the right way to emotionally express themselves, or even show their tolerance for a small situation also. So I think if we go on to see that aspect, what do you have to say on this? Like,
see, the human brain,
building tolerance.
Human brain and body per se was developed to live in jungles. Our primary aim was to survive, and that was the best aim. Every morning, human used to get up, a Homo sapien used to get up. They were not sure whether they'll survive the day. They had to fight animals, weather, conditions of the environment, nature, simply to survive a day. To live in tribes. Humans were always afraid of living alone. And the whole idea of religion and groups developed from the archaic idea of living in tribes, that people with same sorts of mentality and same sorts of behavior pattern lived together. These two concepts cut to 2022. You don't live to survive. Survival is easiest. On the contrary, people nowadays are also affording basic luxuries. So owning an iPhone is simply like, we'll take a loan from the bank. We'll simply borrow money from people. Buying costly cars, wearing costly clothes, it has not at all become a point of survival. Even if I wear a simple cloth, it doesn't affect my survival, because we don't live for survival. So the whole science behind instant gratification was developed on this. What if, when they have nothing to do for survival, they have something to do for pleasure? What if we give them instruments which pleases them more and more and more? And what if for that, they don't have to move from their couches, they don't have to move their fingers at all? And now we are coming in the VR age, the virtual reality age. So very shortly, they don't have to hold their gadgets as well. There will be wearable gadgets. We already have smart watches, smart glasses are on the way. They are available costly, but they are available nowadays. And we are going to an age wherein things will be available at the blink of an eye. Instant gratification is a principle in which a person or a child gets something which gives them an instant high, because there is a surge of dopamine, a happy chemical in the brain. But the problem with instant gratification is the thing falls instantly. The way it goes fast, you give a child a toy, they are too happy. 5 minutes later, the child is not playing with the toy. And parents are not understanding this. Every Sunday they are buying a new toy. The child is getting that instant gratification, but 5 minutes later the child is not playing the toy, because the dopamine has fallen down. Chemically, that does not make them happy. They did not work for it. It was not a survival instinct. It was a pleasure instinct. So many a times I say that instant gratification is almost running on a treadmill. You do a lot of things on a treadmill, but at the end of 10 kilometers, you are exactly standing there. Instant gratification is exactly like that. You think you enjoyed a lot, But 5 minutes later, you are not even there. You are worse because the dopamine level falls even below. So the child, after getting the toy, is now irritable. They are angry. They are cranky. And the parents are like, और कितना करना चाहिए तुम्हारे लिए? Like इतना महंगा toy तो लेके आए. The child never wanted that. That gratification part is already achieved. The problem with instant gratification, dopamine was not only for pleasure. Dopamine levels in the brain are required for drive, motivation, to do daily routine activities. Children who are driven by instant gratification, their brains are chemically programmed in a way that they cannot manage a normal level of dopamine. So they are not able to get their day through. They are not able to finish their homeworks. They are not able to go and meet their timelines, their friends. They are not simply able to get up from their couches because the dopamine level is gone. We need to replenish it. The idea to fight instant gratification is delay the gratification. If the child wants something, don't upfront reject it. You are not getting it because you are not behaving properly or you have not got good marks in your school, because these are exactly the things that creates inferiority complexes and more of disruptive behaviors. Delaying the gratification means let the child go through more of the grind before they get the pleasure. This is how they enjoy the pleasure. So I see children who are so busy ordering things from Amazon and Flipkart on the big billion days and the great sale days. The pleasure is of ordering the things. The pleasure is of not using the things. I have seen children that the packed boxes of these companies lie in their houses for months and years because they never were interested what is in that box. They were only interested in ordering, paying online, because when they pay online, they don't spend money from their hand. And science says that children believe that it was available for free because they did not spend anything. They just scratched a random card or put some CVV code and dad managed it through some statements and everything. So now the children feel that it's free and they fight with their parents, it's available at 50% discount. But do you need that? That is the biggest question. The discount is what they wanted, the product is what not they wanted. Instant gratification is making the brain more impulsive and purposeless. And if you look at the brain scans of these children, the impulsivity areas, the anterior cingulate gyrus, the insular gyrus, which are responsible for impulse control, they are shrinking, which means they are not able to control their impulse. They act upon what they want. So that way, instant gratification, if continued the way it is, they have Amazon Prime. I think shortly they'll have Amazon Now, in which if you think something and the product will be there in front of you. And we are not far away from that. Because Neuralink is a technology they are working on putting chips in the brain so that you get things which you think. Now that is a very difficult concept for me because we think so many negative and positive things, monstrous and saintly things. If we get everything what we think, I think that we are again going to that survival mode because we will not be able to survive the demands and wishes that our brain creates and the system supplies to us. So this is where we need to fight.
Following this question of instant gratification, social media, as you said, has impacted a lot, right? So how has bullying, cyberbullying, physical bullying or verbal bullying, which has also influenced through social media, affects students, because it leads to attempting suicide or self-harm? What would you like to say?
I would say that internet or social media is an anonymous place. So what things are done on anonymous names on internet, people feel that they'll get away with it. Let me be very clear to children who are looking at this video. There are IP addresses of the devices that you are using, of the internet connection that you are using, and I am very much well connected with the cyber cell. They can easily catch any person with cyberbullying or putting any illicit comments on the internet. The whole idea of bullying in the schools was that a perceived stronger child would bully the weaker child. But then the schools became very aware about it. There were groups and there were various institutions that they formed so that bullying can be handled. But see, brain is a very weird organ. It finds out ways to work on the vices that it has created. Now we have internet. And now the whole bullying process is got online, global. So now I am sitting here and someone from Papua New Guinea or someone from Trinidad and Tobago or someone from Melbourne can bully me, which earlier they could not. So this is becoming even more scary. Children do not know rules of social media. And I am so sad. See, every crossroads on our streets have red, green and yellow lights. Social media does not have that. And that is why accidents happen more on social media than they happen on the streets. But people are not paying attention to it. Cyberbullying is exactly these accidents. In the name of anonymity, many children feel that they can bully other people. They think that their opinions are facts, so they can comment anywhere, anything on any topic. And because see, cyberbullying or abusing on the internet almost follows mob psychology, which you Vidhi might be really well knowing. Mob psychology means there is no face. So when people work in a mob, झुंड में जो काम होता है किसी की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं होती, तो सब अपना सबसे खराब स्वरूप दिखाते हैं. Exactly, virtual mob psychology, cyberbullying. Children end up into such places, they bully other people. But there are children who get bullied as well. I have seen children who get Instagram DMs at the age of 15, who get their accounts on Snapchat hacked, who get certain messages that I have your nudes, I have your certain compromising pictures, I have certain information about your family. And they do not have an open communication with their family because the family did not know that they would Instagram in the first place. So going and telling the parent that dad, mom, someone is bullying me on Instagram. पहले तो थप्पड़ पड़ेगा कि Instagram कहाँ से आया? And that is why they don't talk about cyberbullying. So if parents suddenly realize that some of their child did get some threat messages, or while they posted something online, people are putting wrong comments on it. Parents first of all need to stop invalidating it. That how did you end up there? Okay, fine. This is the problem that has happened. This is not good to you. We will work upon that. The other problem of it also exists. Let's not discuss it. Once this problem is solved, because see, a child goes under excessive anxiety and threat, and there is an identity crisis, because there are people who shame other children on their size, shape, color, body form, sexual orientation. This is also a phase where children, teenagers, develop sexual orientation, and there are lots of myths about it. There is a lot of anxiety, suicidal ideation among teenagers who suddenly realize that they don't go the way their friends are going. There are some different sorts of ideology, and parents feel that this is a pathology, it is suppressed. And this is how, again, that idea of suppressing a thought creates more of suicidal ideation, creates more of a problem. Cyberbullying is a problem. It always will remain the problem. You cannot cut off a thing because it creates a problem. We'll never be able to cut off internet or social media. Let's educate our children more about it. If you get threats, you have teachers, you have counselors, you have parents. All of us are there to help you. But in the end, I would like to say, like heart attack, like a brain stroke, like a road traffic accident, suicides are emergencies in mental health care. So if someone says I'm suicidal, don't give them messages like think positive, stop having these thoughts, go and meet friends, read good books, go and watch comedy videos, how weak you are, you have always been like this, look at your parents. The society feels that this is how you manage suicide. Let me tell you, this is how you increase suicides, because this is what has caused the suicide rates to go by 8.2% among teens in the last decade. And that is why 17,000 people died of suicide in 2008 compared to 13,000 teens dying in 2020. And we do not have the data of 2022. It will shortly come, which is the post-pandemic data. It is going to be shocking. It is going to be an eye-opener. So consider that if a child talks about suicides, just go and talk to their teachers, their school counselors, if required, to a mental health expert. Treat them just like you treat a heart attack or a brain attack. And try to see to it that you bring a resolution to this problem, to any mental health illnesses if they face, and not shame them and not suppress them, because that is all will make a healthier society for them.
I would like to,
So we have, because we have counselors, they are all from different departments like primary section, middle section, secondary section. So I would like them to, whatever queries, questions they have, if you can.
So to begin with, as you just said, I would like to encompass it that it is very important for children, not to have everything on the plate as they are getting it right now. And along with that, somewhere I think we need to work also on the image of the self, how the self is constructed, because that is the biggest asset, and that is how we can also build resilience. So I would like to throw some light that how do we ignite that fire? They have to earn things instead of just asking for it, or perhaps getting ready on the plate. So how should we orient our children, or the teachers or the parents for that matter, so that we can ignite that fire within? Because we say we can take the horse to the water but cannot make it drink.
Yes.
So if you could just share your views on that.
That goes to a very root level problem, that children are fed by parents until they are 8, 10 and 12. and that spoon feeding goes on not only for food but for everything that they are doing. So primarily they are not trained to get things on their own, but to be provided things by their parents. And when suddenly they are in a good primary class, let's say not a very nursery one, a second standard, fourth standard, fifth standard, they have to study certain things on their own because education has changed a lot. Even if today I open certain of the books, I'm really alarmed to see that even as a doctor I'm not able to understand some of the concepts of physics, because that is something I have really lost 15 years back. And parents are not able to understand them. In such a scenario, children who were spoon fed till now are put to various tuition classes, or parents have this very typical attitude that because we paid to the school, the secondary responsibility of being a parent is of the school. I think school is an institution, and as an institution, the school has its limitations with all its strengths. That is what it can do. So when you say that you can take a horse to a well or a river, but you cannot force it to drink water, it would be a collective responsibility of parents to understand that it is a teamwork that works. It's not simply a candle that you fire that the child will suddenly ignite that desire within them and change the ideology that they have. That ideology also depends upon their genes. If their parents were procrastinators or suffering from mental health issues or were themselves not able to ignite that something from within, in their frustrations, want that the next generation should suddenly snap into a really brilliant product, that is never going to happen. And that is why in mental health the family tree matters a lot. If people were suffering from lots of issues in their family, it is possible that this child would be suffering from that, and this is very early days, that ignition from within is not coming up. If it is identified early, they will not require a psychiatrist. Working with them every day by their parents, by school counselors, by teachers would be a good option. I feel that again, all the responsibility cannot be put on teachers only, because teachers have their primary aim to teach the students, and that is why the mental health conditioning by school counselor makes a lot of sense to me nowadays. However, children don't talk openly because they are not taught to. So if children who watch this video, parents who watch this video, they find that their children are lacking an insight from within and that the family did not have these issues is one category. So it is very important that when such parents realize that their children are not getting that ignition from within, if that was because of a pre-existing problem, they need to meet an expert at the earliest and check for mental health issues. If it was something that developed later on, the good part about the human brain is it can be shaped because there is something called neuroplasticity, which means that children learn maximum when they are teenagers. So it is exactly the time when you talk more with them, when you try to understand their roadblocks, you try to make a path clear for them and develop processes for them. So rather than giving them an idea that the next term exams are coming, let us try to score 70% in that exams. What if you go to even more Atomic Habit? It's a very good book which parents should read by James Clear, Atomic Habit, because that helped me a lot, which simply says that very small things, if changed every day, will bring upon a butterfly effect in later part of their lives. So if a child who is not motivated is simply asked to get up 5 minutes earlier than usual, to simply walk because gadgets are available, 100 to 200 steps every 1 hour, recorded in the pedometer that they have, or they are asked to at least learn one line of a poem, of a chapter every day. You know, some routines which are so small that at the end of the day you cannot sum it up to something really big, because that is how first of all you make the candle. The ignition part will come after that candle is made within the brain. It is these small atomic habits which are followed every day, and the child enjoys following these habits. I will put my example per se. So I have this weight gain problem. I repeatedly keep on gaining weight because obesity is a genetic problem in my family. The thing that my endocrinologist put was, Parth, you need to be behind 75 kg of your weight. So the aim of my life was to be behind 75 kg of my weight. Until I was 27 and never managed it. I was suffering. I was binge eating all the time because I do dieting all the time and then I do diet eating the rest of the times. And I was always like, the moment I get 75, I'll go to Mumbai and throw myself a big party. So I lose my weight, I'll go there and gain my weight again. That was my ideology. And then I realized that, what if I do 10 minutes of cycling every day? What if I simply put some sugar out of my food, just some sugar? So if I put 2 teaspoons of sugar in my tea, I started putting 1.5 for the first 6 months, then 1 for the next 6 months. Gradually I realized that oil is very less in my food. It was not sudden. You cannot punish people who are accustomed to samosas, kachoris and pedas every day to boil food suddenly. It has to be a process. The same applies to a child. if the child has now every Apple device on the market and everything that a toy shop has to offer, and there are situations where you end up at a toy shop saying, there is nothing new in your shop, let us go to the next shop. And every shop of that area is like done and dusted for them. It starts from buying lesser things, but gradually. It starts from putting a price on those things. That fine, not the marks. Fine, you did your 10 minutes of exercise for the last 10 days, let us buy something good for you. So if you put price for the duration of the activity, rather than the magnitude of the activity, which means getting marks once, then buying an Apple iPhone. So he is not getting marks next time because he is using Apple iPhone for the next 6 months. So if you put price for a longer duration, smaller things, rather than a short duration, very big thing, I think ignition of that inner instinct will gradually develop. And it is also important to make children realize at this juncture the importance of difference between criticism and critical thinking. Because critical thinking is constructive, criticism is destructive. So if your child comes up in your house talking critical things about people, criticism about their friends, she does like this, he does like this, he is not good, she is not good, my teacher is not like this. Don't rush up to the school to complain, the teacher is not like this. There might have been some problem with the teacher. First of all, gather information in detail. Has my child got into this constant habit of fighting criticism among the people around them, because it means they are finding it outside, they are not looking inside. And looking inside is critical thinking. It is constructive in origin. If this and delaying gratification by developing atomic habits is developed, then you are looking at self-sufficient child and not a spoon-fed child. This is how things are.
Here I would like to say the most important quality that is required for this, what Tejashree mentioned, is patience.
Patience.
Right? Doing everything, we elders as parents get bored. We lose our hope. Like you said, it has to be a small exercise every day. But then as parents, how long are we ready to do it?
Exactly.
We can't blame the child. It's only 4 days that we have done. We ourselves don't have the patience to sit with the child every day and give that 5 minutes. So what is being told to the child who doesn't bring result or who is a failure? Like we tell, just put in this effort. We don't want to see the result. I tell the parents, उसने काम किया है, he's worked hard, just focus on that part. It might be 40%, doesn't matter. But appreciate the child for the effort that he has put in because you were helping him. So the child knows, okay, with this much effort, this is the result that I get. So you want more, we say, we stand by you there. We are there to help you. We'll do it together. So only thing is appreciate the effort. Result appreciation is the last thing that we should focus on. The effort has to be appreciated, nothing else. So the child knows I will only be appreciated not for the result, but for the effort that I put in. That is very important.
We got this question that we are learning the precautions before something is happening. We are learning the parenting styles, how it could be different, how it could be changed. But what happens when our children or someone we see, they're trying to commit or attempt suicide? What do we do then? It's an open question.
That's a brilliant question. So first of all, if somebody had attempted or had ideations about suicide, it is important that either of the parent takes up the matter rather than asking a family member, an elder sibling or uncle or a teacher or a counselor to take it, because the child needs to understand that warmth is available within my vicinity and warmth is not available only if I go to a place. So now if the parent is ready to talk, the first thing is ask whether the current behavior that they are following, does that have anything to do with a recent event that has happened? Like did abuse, sexual abuse, verbal or physical abuse go in? Was there an emotional problem? Teenagers have breakups. So acknowledge the fact that they can have breakups, they have misunderstandings. So first thing is to understand whether this is an acute problem or something that has been going on as a long-term theme. So this way the children have a catharsis or a ventilation point where they can talk. Second, don't invalidate by saying, oh, how can you get them? You have all the luxuries in this world. You are studying in best of the schools, you are studying in best of the tuition classes, you have best of the gadgets, because you are trying to put in an idea of guilt in their brain. If guilt sets into a person who already had suicidal ideation, you increase the ideation. It is like a catalyst. So you are putting fuel more to the fire. The third thing would be, do not be critical or judgmental. by saying that, oh, you've always been negative all your life. Of course this happened, you should have been positive. So now the child feels that, okay, this is how my parents anyway see me. So what I am doing is justified because I have been negative all my life, so this is what I need to do. And last of all, it is very much important that in trying to have open-minded conversations, you don't end up having verbal diarrhea. Which means that you don't give random examples to simply show your support, which is what parents are doing. So I still remember that one of my clients' parents were like, "Don't you remember Chichore? That boy jumped off the building and then so many operations had to be done. So now father has to spend not only your education but also your treatment." And I'm sitting speechless in front of him, and he's like, "No, see, even the doctor is going to charge for what mistakes you have done." I'm like, "What the hell you are doing?" I'm like, "Sir, first of all, let us treat you first. Because if I treat you, I think the child will be better. It is important to show empathy. And empathy is different from sympathy. Because people are like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Oh, this should not have happened with you. Instead of that, you can use words like, I'm sure you must be suffering from something really difficult in your mind. And I'm sure it seems it's not possible to solve it. I don't say that I'm a problem solver. But maybe if you tell me, and if together we are able to find something, we have another option as compared to what you have chosen for yourself. So giving them choices is very important here. Giving them options here is very much important. Also understanding the idea that if the child has pursued death previously, they have seen suicides in the past, they have talked about suicides in a negative way, they have been following certain accounts on Instagram or Facebook or any other handles which talk more about suicide. I don't know why, but there are so many videos on how to commit suicide on YouTube as well, and children keep on watching them. If children have been showing lots of self-harm tendencies, because nowadays we see that children put lots of cut marks with blades, with sharpener blades as well on their hands. Now, this is no drama, this is no fashion, this is a cry for help. The children are trying to show that we are in a problem, we need help. Now, either as a parent, you provide that help or you try to demean them. So, next time when you see that the child is wearing too many full sleeve clothes or turtlenecks in summer, or they are trying to hide their hands, or they are trying to be too secretive, they have suddenly changed their attitude, either a too talkative child has gone too calm, and even vice versa, a very calm child has gone too talkative. If they are allowed to have social media handles, what things they have been posting, what things they have been following, what things they have been commenting, all of this would give a very strong idea of what is going inside this, the oldest hardware of the planet. One which was not upgraded since years, and with so many software upgrades. Education system changed, political system changed, religious system changed, family system changed. We went nuclear to ultra nuclear, to single parents, to children almost living in alone in hostels. And this did not change, the hardware did not change. So it is important that we understand. They perceive what we make them understand, and talking to them more openly and being more open all the time. So it does not mean that better fine you had these ideations and now we don't need to talk. No, the communication goes for the rest of their lives. The more the open the communication, the lesser the outcomes of situations like suicide.
Sir, I have two cases where both the students are mentioning about self-harm. When do they cross the line from self-harm to suicidal? How do I keep a check on that?
Oh, that is a very thin line. Self-harm is almost one of the last steps before suicidal attempt.
Okay.
So it is very much important that such cases are reported to psychiatrists at the earliest.
Okay.
Self-harm arises out of lots of things. Personality problems are primary of them because they perceive the world in a very singular all or none phenomena. So cognitive rigidity is very hard for them. They believe in success, failure, true, false, right, wrong. Their emotional stability is very labile. So they are not able to perceive emotions in a very warm way, and pain is an emotion that they feel. So because they are not able to feel love, friendship, care as an emotion, and they are able to feel love as an emotion, they feel the pain as an emotion. They feel that pain will give them a sort of gratification from inside. And even studies have shown that people who are constantly putting cut marks on their hands have decreased level of serotonin in their brain, decreased levels of oxytocin in their brain. Now these are two very much important chemicals of the brain which are required to perceive emotions and actions. And if these are low, it's obvious that certain things happen in a very different level in their brains. So rather than simply finding a social solution, it is important that personality archetypes is understood, their cognitive factors are well understood, and the whole idea of suppression. Because these are exactly the children who are taught कि negative thought तो नहीं आने चाहिए, खराब नहीं सोचना चाहिए, भगवान का नाम ले लो, दादाजी के सामने देखो कि वो 90 years के हो गए कितने पॉजिटिव है, because these sort of thought suppression also incites went up aggression. And by putting cut marks, they feel that the aggression or the tension is relieved. So it is very much important that these children are brought up into gambit of a treatment protocol, and the treatment protocol involves all of them. It may include psychotherapy, it may include pharmacotherapy, and long-term cognitive or personality restructuring of these children. So that, see, it's like me wearing black glasses. If I wear black glasses, I see everything is black. These children, they always have these glasses on, so they are not at fault. And you cannot simply ask them to remove those glasses. It is imprinted in their eyes. It's a process that you begin, and gradually you try to reduce the shade of that black color, and then gradually try to make it transparent more, so that they perceive the world as a less hostile, less insecure, less dangerous place, where people will not judge them, where people will not demean them, where they will have space to understand that the world does have a space for them, and they'll have happier things to talk about, live about, and then survive in a more better coping way.
So I have a question. It's like, how do we deal with, we have a lot of children coming in from the classes like 8th onwards. They have a lot of body image issues, right? If I'm fat or I don't look that good and I don't have too many friends, I feel lonely in the class. So how do we deal with that? It's like, not telling them exactly on how actually you should look, because when we say that, we all are unique in the terms of way we look, and how can we make them understand that how do you deal with these issues?
Madam, body image per se is an aspect of an identity. Identity is a very complex word itself, because 80% of it is not what we desire to have. We are born with it. We do not choose the families we are born in, we do not choose the culture that we are born in, the religion that we are born in. Even the food preferences are set by our parents, especially mothers. We do not choose our names. Most of the times we do not choose our clothes. We do not choose the school we are going to join. So when a child reaches the age of 10, 11, 12, they end up into identity crisis, because suddenly they realize that whatever I am is not what I chose to be. It is what my parents chose me to be. And now they want to change that identity. They want to identify with groups, they want to identify with various sorts of social media platforms, they want to identify with certain behavior patterns, so that they can form their new identity. Now exactly in this exploration process of identity, they end up onto certain situations wherein too much of importance is given to zero body figure even among women, and six-pack abs among men. If you look at any sort of advertisements on televisions, posts on social media, the so-called perfect bodies are projected. A health drink would have a TV actor, a film star acting on it, and suddenly they realize that okay, it is by drinking this thing that they have suddenly become healthy. But they were advertising about Coca-Cola, they were advertising about Pepsi, which are not healthy drinks. They take more of these. They keep on increasing their weights, thinking that they'll become Salman Khan or Akshay Kumar or Tiger Shroff, because यही तो पी के वो लोग इतने strong हुए थे. So the whole concept of body image, which is projected in a society in such a bad way that people, and especially teenagers, start hating what they are. They don't love the structure that they are in. On the contrary, they feel that this is simply a cage that I am inside, and my soul needs to be freed from this. The obvious outcome is crash diets. The obvious outcome is severe exercises, which leads to lots of mood swings, mental health related problems, insomnia, memory and cognitive issues. It is important that every children, first of all, is explained to respect the opposite children, irrespective of their color, age, gender, orientation, size, shape, anything. Correct? Labeling is a sort of cognitive error. Labeling means giving a name to every individual. Right from the teaching institutions to parents to families, the labeling part should be avoided. If a child starts labeling their friends, they don't have to be scolded. First of all, they have to be taught that this is what they have. Something will happen to you as well someday, because you are a human, that you will also be labeled. You would not like that, so he or she would not like that as well. Children who are labeled, if parents know about that, if teachers know about that, again they have to be brought up into a closed circle wherein they are given enough of securities, enough of education, that this is a form of their body, you should not hate it. Because if you hate your body, it is you. So it is like in trying to do something for you, you are doing something which is against yourself as well. So making them comfortable with whatever they are, allowing certain sort of clothes, not promoting specific types of gadgets or clothes to be worn because they are available in the market or because a mannequin wears it. Even you should be wearing this sort of clothes someday. It should not be promoted. See, this is a very slow culture once again. It goes back to the age where child is 7 or 8 years old, when they start seeing various advertisements, when they start showing that this is one of the sizes. There are other sizes of people as well out there, and they are all normal sizes. Like your father is taller than you, like your mother is whiter than you, like your brother is shorter than you. There are different sizes of people, and every size is a normal size. I also think that these fashion festivals which have been going on, the whole concept of Miss India or Miss Universe is so much of a body shaming, right? I really disregard this idea because all they promote is a specific form of body and a specific form of figure which young girls at very age are taught to be followed. And I still feel that there is some improvement in the market of body image of women because they have started showing plus size women. But what is going on with men? Why is a six-pack ab man doing an advertisement for a face wash? I still don't get this. So I feel that here the men are still at receiving end. Right from undergarments to face washes to body washes, I look at myself in the mirror and like, should I be using this face wash at all? Because I don't have that body. I'm like, damn it. If I buy it, I use it. So this is the mentality that children need to have. That if I want it, I do it. And if I deserve it, I get it. I don't just snatch it away. Similarly, you don't just pull off everything in your body and become a different person. Become a different person mentally. Metamorphosis is important. Changing the body is much more easier. If you metamorphosize this, then changing the body is going to be easier. It starts from here. Accepting the body, then changing the body. If you disrespect your body, change is never possible. You end up into mental health disorders like binge eating, anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa. They are serious mental health disorders which we need to understand.
As we are coming to an end of the session, wonderful session, I would like every one of you to say one message or quote that you want to share it to the students or the parents.
Anyone? I think we've had a lovely session.
You are looking at a person who has been maximum rejected and failed more number of times than ever before. And look at me. The Udgam School for Children invites me to talk about body positivity, mental health and suicides. So rejection is not that bad. You will face failures. It is important. You should face rejections. But every rejection should not end up into a Kabir Singh. There are better role models that the society needs. Every failure should not lead you into addictions, into problems that are maladaptive, into situations that are non-reversible. I sit here in front of you as the first patient of my father suffering from ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. And I am not doing bad for myself. So I think that there are issues that children will face, but then we as the society will have to support them and bring them out of these problems.
I would just add to what you said. Exactly, rejection is not bad, but what we need is society is to accept it and work on it, and take help, because there are people available who can give you the right guidance and right help.
Very good.
Thank you so much. I invite Poonam to give a vote of thanks.
Just some of them.
Lots of discussion here. On the behalf of Udgam School for Children, I am immensely thankful to Mr. Parth Vaishnav, Arathi ma'am, for sharing their valuable insights in the discussion of the Suicide Prevention Day. I also extend thanks to all our counsellors for their active participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It was actually wonderful having you here.